people are committed to is building a world, at least of philanthropy, that is about social justice, racial justice, and economic justice. But the thread there is justice, of course.
Mm.
So it's a challenging one. What does it mean? And who is it just for? And how do you get there?
And I think I heard you use the term liberation theology, which was interesting. Can you tell me a little bit more about what you mean by that?
Well, I was stealing a word from the very old practice. It mostly was about the Jesuits in Latin America who were trying to politically help in liberation of poor populations, urban and rural, throughout Latin America back in the mid to late 60s and then beyond that. They got in quite a bit of trouble. But it was how to use the power, I guess I would say, of religion at that time in Latin America to help overthrow, literally overthrow the powers that be that kept people enslaved, both literally and figuratively, and to liberate them over time. So I sometimes use that phrase, and I use it inappropriately, I would imagine. Some people who are really involved in the movement would probably say that's weird, but what the heck. The word liberation is important to me in all my work, my paid client work or whatnot. I believe that what I'm trying to do is help people liberate themselves from the shackles that are in their way, that keep them from being in the work that they know needs to be done in the way they need to, that they believe it needs to be done. So liberation is the key thing.
That really speaks to me because in my work with the thinking environment, what we say is that most people have the capacity to think through anything, to live good lives, to make good decisions and all of that. And very often it will be limiting assumptions that have been developed over a lifetime by conditioning and such like, and experiences people have had that will mean they live certain assumptions as though they're true. And what we need to find is a liberating alternative to the limiting assumptions that they have about themselves, the world, and each other. People like me don't, they'll never believe me, I'll never amount to anything, whatever it might be. And how do we replace that limiting assumption with a liberating alternative that then empowers them to go forward and achieve things? So I think that word liberation is really powerful and important. And also Nancy Klein talks about how the lie at the heart of most forms of discrimination and ultimately genocide is the limiting assumption that the dominant group is superior and we have to think and act like them. And because it's superior, it should have power over the others. And again, to remove that limiting assumption and replace it with liberating alternatives, I think is really important, which is about creating a space where people can think for themselves, think independently for themselves,